video, you're going to learn tips on how to increase and expand your focus. So many people want to work on projects and not be distracted and focus in so that you can complete something efficiently and quickly without getting distracted. Now, often this is thought of as what's called a flow state. So in biohacking, what we're trying to mimic is this state of flow where your vision narrows to just the task at hand. Time dilates, like you go into this time tunnel where either it could speed up or slow down. More typically, it slows down as you get into flow for you. You can react with lightning speed. You can have more mental capacity and mental faculties online at the same time. And typically this is found in professional and extreme sports athletes. When they're right at the peak of their physical capability, they're challenging themselves, and sometimes there's like a life and death aspect to it. They get into a flow state, and people are trying to mimic that state in their work environment so that they can move into flow and be super connective, creative with this massive mental faculty that comes online in something like a flow state. So biohackers are always interested in how to increase and maintain focus. And another word for that could be flow state. If you hear it, bounced around as flow state, just know that really that's an intense state of focus. So what I'm going to teach you are what things I used to do and what are really popular in the world of biohacking. And of course, you can do those things. And then I'm also going to give you the tips and tricks that I use today that are a little further removed from the realm of biohacking. And honestly, I think are more effective and better long-term strategies. Not that either way is better than the other, but for me, I've chosen to choose a path of focus that I think is more helpful for you and something that a lot of the biohackers aren't going to teach you. First of all, let's start in with the things that biohackers teach and that actually do most times help with increasing focus. So of course, there's the number one thing that lots of people go for, and that's caffeine. Now, caffeine can increase focus short term, and it can give you jitters, and it can lead to some negative effects over prolonged times of using. One of the compounds that's kind of sexy in the biohacking world right now is the compound that caffeine breaks down to in the liver that gives you the focus without the jitters, and that's called paraxanthine. Paraxanthine is the compound that some people are trying to use as an isolated compound rather than caffeine, and it gives you the benefit of the focus supposedly without the downsides of the caffeine. So something to check out. It's kind of sexy right now in the biohacking world. It's not something that I've tried. It's not something that I am likely to go out and use. If someone were to offer me some to try, I probably would, but I haven't used it. I'm not planning on going out and buying it for myself. Next, you can use apps. So there's an app like OneSec and other apps that can turn off like functionality of your cell phone. So think about why you're not focused. Well, often it's because you're distracted. So the opposite of focused would be distracted. And our cell phones make us extremely distracted. We get that dopamine hit when we get a notification. When we get that notification, to get the dopamine hit and to expand it, we go into the app and we figure out what the notification is all about. So that is very distracting, and it doesn't allow you to really focus in on one thing and stay focused intensely on that subject. So there are apps that will turn off those things on your phone. And you can get those apps, and you can put in various things to help you focus within the apps as well. So encourage you to look at those apps. Now, there's another app that's really popular, and it used to be massively popular in the biohacking world back in 2014 and 2015 when I first took my training. And you would need a pair of headphones, preferably over-ear headphones, but the in-ear earbuds work too. God forbid you're wearing, iPod, AirPods or something like that. I will never wear those because of the Bluetooth that goes into your brain. Maybe Bluetooth is not the worst EMF you could have. So use what you want. Over-ear headphones work the best. And that would be apps that you can run on your phone called binaural beats or isochronic tones. And what these do is they create a disjoined frequency from one ear to the next, such that when your brain tries to put the disjoint frequency together, it'll create a standing like alpha wave in your brain to make you focused or relaxed, whatever you're looking for. So you can create a focused brainwave using these beats where you probably can't notice it consciously, but your brain, to correct the off beat from one ear to the other, creates the wave to put you into deep focus. So I do like using binaural beats once in a while. I used to use them every day. I use them now maybe like a couple times a year, honestly. But binaural beats can be really helpful for many people, and you don't have to pay money. Often you can go to YouTube and find free binaural beats or isochronic tones to put you in a state of focus. Okay, let's talk nootropics. So nootropics, super sexy in the biohacking world. These are both synthetic and natural compounds that enhance your cognitive function, and many of them can be used for deep focus. So one that I used to use all the time, in fact, I used it like every day for almost 2 years, was Qualia. They now have new versions of Qualia than when I used it many, many years ago, and they have Qualia Focus and Qualia Mind. And both of those are a nootropic stack, which are multiple nootropics, adaptogenic herbs, and neurovitamins and minerals that help you focus. So that's like a pre-built nootropic stack. Specific nootropics that you can try for focus are things like phenylpiracetam, phosphatidylserine, Nuapept, tyrosine, phazoracetam, aniracetam, centrophenoxine, or some combination of those. Now, you're going to want to do some research, like maybe on examine.com or somewhere else, to figure out the dosages and ensure that those are safe for you. But those are synthetic nootropics that you can combine or take by themselves, usually along with a cholinergic, so some sort of choline source, egg yolks, or like alpha GPC or some kind of choline, because you're burning through neurotransmitters faster potentially. And so taking a choline source with your nootropics gives you focus without getting a headache when you start burning through neurotransmitters, because the choline can become acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter in the brain. So lots of nootropics for you to choose from. I listed off a number of those that have been extremely effective for me when I was creating my business, 7 or 8 years ago. They intensely helped me focus. I used to use quite a lot of synthetic nootropics back in those days. I was experimenting a lot. If that's something that calls to you, those, just rewind and look at those names and then look them up. They were very effective. Other things you can use that are on the natural side of nootropics are like adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms. So things like ashwagandha, things like L-theanine. These are things that can help you focus, that are natural compounds, and they really do put your brain in the state where it's calm, relaxed, and ready to focus in. So I also used to use a lot of those things pretty frequently, and I found massive benefit from L-theanine and ashwagandha. Those are great adaptogenic herbs for focus. Now, last but not least, from the biohacker side, before we get into the things that I do today, would be kind of a more forbidden biohack necessarily for some people, me included, which would be nicotine. Now, nicotine, like you find in cigarettes, can be a potent focusing compound. Most biohackers are going to use this in the form of a lozenge, or sometimes like a nicotine-containing toothpick, where you insert the lozenge or kind of suck on the toothpick and get pure nicotine into your blood. And that nicotine really can help you focus. To me, it just makes me jittery because I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I don't use nicotine. And when I used it as like a biohacking compound to focus, people say it's really helpful for writing. Not for me. It just made me jittery, and it was not a pleasant experience. There's other ways you can use nicotine, like hape. Hape is more of like a medicinal sacrament, and I would prefer you use that as in an intentional setting, as like a set and setting to do something intentional with changing something about your spiritual or energy body. But honestly, if I had to tell you guys, people are using hape for focus. So what are the things that I do today that I think are actually more powerful than trying to buy all these compounds? Number one, you don't need an app on your phone to turn off the notifications. You can simply go to your settings, notifications, and turn off all notifications. You don't need your text to vibrate when you get a text, or to ding, or to put any notification on your screen whatsoever, not even a little dot that says you have a text. It is super easy to just click on your texting app when you're done focusing and find out all the texts that were sent to you and what they said. It's not that critical, really, to just hold off on reading the text for an hour or two while you're getting your focus in, because if you're not focusing and you're constantly distracting, you're not going to create those things that you want. And ultimately, we're here to be creators. And if you want to be a creator and make something in the world, you need to focus and get the shit done. Turn off all your notifications. Put your phone in airplane mode, silence everything. If you are waiting for a baby and for your wife to go to the hospital or something like that, fine. Like, leave your phone on so that it'll ring, but turn off all the other notifications. But for most of us, just turn the phone on airplane mode and kill the notification beeps, sounds, dings, screen pop-ups, whatever it is. I don't have any on my phone ever, and I never have, and I've never needed any. And I'm a senior level manager at a large corporation. I run a business, I have kids, I am married. I have never needed those things, and I'm pretty sure if you really deeply thought about what's important to you, you don't need them either. Next, a really good way to get focused is to do a meditation. You can go online and find guided meditations. You can do transcendental meditation, whatever works for you. Simply getting into meditation, and not necessarily, I'm not a huge believer in clearing your mind, but just allowing thoughts to pop up, noticing them, but not attaching to them and following them through whatever rabbit hole they're going to bring you down, teaches your brain how to focus by not chasing random thoughts like we do in social media when you're chasing and scrolling and it's like less than a second of looking at something. That's teaching your mind not to be focused. So if you want to learn how to focus, meditate, observe the thoughts, but don't chase them down, just let them go. And do that over and over. It can be super helpful. Next, reading a book. So many of us claim, like, I never read books anymore. All I do is listen to podcasts at 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed, or I watch YouTube videos, or I'm scrolling on social media. That's how I learn. Well, if you want to learn how to focus, read a book, find one that you love, get deep into it, and it will help your brain relearn how to focus intently on something for a long time. Very effective. And it's free. Another one that I really love is fasting for focus. Yes, when you're not distracted by food and making food and eating it, and then your blood and your enzymes are being created and you're using energy to digest it, you can be more focused. So just intermittent fasting. I'm not talking about not eating for a whole day. I'm saying, like, don't eat breakfast. You will be able to focus more. And sometimes when you first start this practice, you might be a little stressed. It might be a little harder to focus. But over time, when you're comfortable with intermittent fasting, you can really dial in and focus. Now, you can add energy to your fast without breaking your fast. So C8, which is 8 chains of carbon, it's a medium chain triglyceride, usually from coconut oil. So MCT is medium chain triglyceride, and C8, or an 8 carbon chain, is a medium chain triglyceride that's a specific form of medium chain triglyceride from coconut. And you can buy a bottle of C8 that will turn directly into ketone bodies, or energy inside of your body when you take it. You can add it to water or coffee or whatever. And basically it will help you focus by giving you more energy without going through like all this crazy digestion and energy usage and breaking your fast. Finally, the number one thing that will help anyone focus is making a decision. So many of us, we're distracted and we're moving through life and we don't really know what we want. When you finally decide what it is you want and you make a goal and then you start pursuing that goal, you've made a decision that you're going to reach that goal. When you make a goal and finally decide that you're going to go after it, wherever that takes you, whatever it takes, you're willing and able to do it. When you've made that decision, you automatically get immense focus. This is a phenomenal concept that nobody in biohacking is teaching, and it is the #1 hack to get focus in your life. I highly recommend that you set a goal that you love, that you figure out your pathway to get there, and you decide you're going to do it, and you will focus like no other time in your life. Until next time, try out what works for you, experiment a little. That's what biohacking is all about, is self-experimentation, and figure out what focus hacks work best for you.